You ever think about what might be hiding right under your feet? And I'm not talking about treasure or some lost city. Nope. Something way older and a lot bigger. We're going to get into one of the wildest geological mysteries out there. These massive tunnels that weren't carved by water or by people, but by giants.
So that's the big question, right? I mean, what in the world could dig a tunnel that's 2,000 feet long with claws bigger than a grizzly bear's? Just try to picture that. The answer, trust me, is way stranger and cooler than you're probably guessing.
All right, so to start unraveling this, we've got to head down to South America. We're going deep underground in Brazil, into a place that for years just made no sense to anyone.
Okay, picture this. You're deep underground. It's cool, it's quiet, and you're standing in this huge, strangely smooth tunnel. Right away, you know it's not a natural cave. The shape is just all wrong. And it's definitely not a mine. I mean, where are the tool marks? No, this feels different, almost biological. Like you're standing inside something that was once a living thing.
And the scale here is just mind-blowing. We're not talking about some little animal den. Some of these things stretch for 2,000 feet. That's more than 6 football fields end to end. To dig just one of these, you'd have to move over 4,000 metric tons of dirt and rock. All of it carved out, not by hand, but by claw. So, okay, if people didn't make it, and nature didn't make it, then what did? Well, like any good mystery, the answer was right there the whole time, literally scratched into the walls. So, how can we be so sure it wasn't people? Well, geologists looked at these tunnels, right? And they were looking for those classic signs of mining. You know, the little precise marks from pickaxes and shovels. They found nothing. Zip. Instead, the walls were covered in these huge, sweeping grooves, usually in parallel sets. And really, there's only one thing that could make marks like that: giant claws. And this is where your jaw kind of hits the floor. The scientists looking at these marks realized they had to have been made by an animal with absolutely colossal claws. I mean, we are not talking about a badger here. The animal that dug these tunnels had to be, and I'm quoting a researcher here, much bigger than a grizzly. Okay, so we've got the what? Giant claws. That naturally leads to the next big question. Who? Who were these amazing prehistoric engineers? It was time to put a name to the architects of these incredible structures. And what's really wild is that it wasn't just one type of animal. All the evidence points to a whole category of giant prehistoric beasts that used to wander around South America. We have to go back in time to a literal age of giants. The scientific term for these guys is megafauna. It's a simple idea, really. They were the giant animals of a specific place and time. In this case, we're talking about prehistoric South America, which was basically a hotspot for some of the biggest, weirdest megafauna on the planet. And here it is, the number one suspect, the chief engineer behind the biggest of these tunnels, the giant ground sloth. Yeah, a sloth. We're talking about species like Megatherium, a name that literally means great beast. And you have to forget everything you know about the slow, sleepy sloths hanging in trees today. Their ancestors were a completely different ballgame. Just get a load of this size comparison. A grizzly bear, which is a seriously intimidating animal, stands maybe 8 feet tall. The giant ground sloth? It could get up to 20 feet and weighed as much as an elephant. This was a creature that had the raw power to move literally tons and tons of earth. Okay, so we've got our builder, the giant ground sloth, but that just opens up an even bigger question. Why? Why would these massive creatures spend generations digging these insanely elaborate underground networks? This wasn't just a den they were digging. This was more like an underground city. Scientists now have a name for these amazing places: Paleo-burrows. And honestly, their discovery is changing everything we thought we knew about how these ancient animals lived and behaved. So, how'd they do it? Well, the clues suggest this wasn't just one sloth digging a hole. The sheer size and all the interconnected tunnels, it points to groups of these animals, maybe family units, working together over generations, using their elephant-sized bodies and those massive claws to carve out entire networks. And the why is pretty genius when you think about it. You can think of these paleo-burrows like a prehistoric apartment complex. They offered incredible protection from predators, like saber-toothed cats. Inside, the temperature was stable and comfortable all year round. But most importantly, it was a shared space, a shelter for a whole community of these giants. So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean? Well, these tunnels are so much more than just a cool geological find. They're like echoes from a lost world, giving us this unbelievable window into the lives of the giants who built them. For decades, we just pictured giant sloths as these lonely, slow-moving animals. But these massive, cooperative building projects, they just blow that whole idea out of the water. We're literally having to rewrite the textbooks because of this. And this is maybe the most important part. These paleo-burrows are hard proof of complex social behavior. It shows these animals could work together, that they could plan, that they could build something enormous for the good of the whole group. They weren't just animals, they were engineers. They were the architects of their own ancient worlds.
And that leaves us with one last, really exciting thought. I mean, if a whole network of tunnels built by giant sloths could stay hidden from us for tens of thousands of years, what else is down there? What other giant secrets are just lying there, hidden right beneath our feet, waiting to be found?